For more analysis on Arctic security concerns, let's go to London to speak to Elisabeth Braw, a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. Elisabeth, it's good to have you on the program again. So we were talking to Professor Risotto there, and he was saying that Europe has to grow a backbone and stand up for this international rules-based order. Judging by the statement that they've put out today about Greenland, what do you make of it? Is it simply another statement or enough to actually deter the United States?
Well, it's an important statement, and we should remember that it shouldn't be necessary to explain to anybody that Greenland, the Greenlanders, and Denmark together decide the future of their union. But we live in an extraordinary. We're experiencing an extraordinary time where even issuing such a statement requires some courage by the leaders involved, because if you are seen to contradict Donald Trump's stated ambitions for Greenland, then you may be punished for stating that it would not be a good idea for the United States to unilaterally take Greenland. So it's easy to criticize European leaders, but it is important that European leaders, the leaders of the largest nations within the European Union and Denmark, together have issued this statement, and let's hope that it carries some weight.
Yes, I'm sure the people of Greenland are hoping that as well. But do you think the leaders of that island nation, as well as Denmark, are now even more concerned given the US's recent actions in Venezuela, as well as their threats against some of the other countries like Colombia and Cuba, to say that, well, if they don't quote unquote behave, the US will be forced to go in there as well?
I don't think we even need to look at Venezuela. What we should look at is what President Trump has said in recent days and hours, and also what Stephen Miller, his deputy chief of staff, has said. And they have both talked about Greenland. They have both said that wants to have Greenland, and indeed Mr. Miller stated that it's the official policy of the US government that Greenland should belong to the United States. So these are quite strong statements by very senior leaders within the US government, and that really leaves Denmark and Greenland in a really tough spot, because what can Denmark do, and the leaders of Greenland, what can they do other than repeating that Greenland's future is decided only by the people of Greenland in consultation with Denmark? What else can they do? They can't exactly go to NATO and propose an Article 4 consultation, which is what typically happens when countries are concerned.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to see what they can do other than reiterate that the future of Greenland is decided by Greenlanders themselves.
Elisabeth, I mean, Denmark is still a member of NATO. What does this mean for the alliance if the United States does decide that they want to take Greenland and they have a military presence there more so than they have now, and actually take the country? What does it mean for the alliance of NATO if one of their own members is attacking another?
Well, as Prime Minister Frederiksen of Denmark said a few hours ago, such an action would mean the end of NATO, and that's not an opinion. It is a statement of fact, because if you have two countries within NATO engaged in conflict, then NATO ceases to function. That would be an absolutely tragic development. It would not just for NATO, but for European security more widely. NATO exists to protect all of its members against hostilities by countries outside NATO, specifically, or most importantly, Russia. If NATO were to be undermined by one of its own members, that would mean that NATO would not be able to fulfill its existential function, which is to defend its members against aggression, including by Russia. It would be a disaster.
Elisabeth Braw, great to get your take from the Atlantic Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.